Guess a few more people will join, but we are on with an overview of what happened in the last month at Oracle Engineering. Siebel 26.3 is out, and it's a full one. I can't remember when I had a list so big in on the introductory slide. Yeah, Richard says that's a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff also not directly related to the very 26.3 update, but also related to, let's say, yeah, bits and pieces around Siebel. So the first things first, is that we have a guest here, a very dear guest, Darshan Kumar from Dimensions. And he literally is the father of the modern Siebel that we have today, one of the fathers. So welcome, Darshan. Nice to have you today. And later on, Darshan will tell us about agentic AI, the Dimensions visions on agentic AI for enterprise CRM. So it's a Siebel Friday with AI. But before that, the usual reminder that if you go to siebelhub.com, you get all the information you want about the latest versions of Siebel CRM. We have the only always up-to-date curriculum. And yeah, we do have some new courses out. For example, 26.1 just a few weeks ago, Open UI web components. So if you are interested in that, take a look at siebelhub.com. You will also find there the 26 booster pack with 18 hours of video training on the latest and greatest developments from the past year. A lot of things happened in Siebel. We're also throwing in a little bit of AI here. And you can not only take video training with the Siebel Hub, you can also, of course, get live training with myself. There is a link in the video description and also in the chat soon where you can view a live training schedule and book your training slots. We have been doing this for a while. So the big news before we start with 26.3 is you probably have been looking for the Siebel bookshelf, haven't you? So myself, I'm pressing F5 for like 2 hours every day on Siebel bookshelf and waiting for 26.3 bookshelf, and it didn't come. So what happened? Well, Oracle created a new starting page on docsoracle.com for bookshelf. So we have all the links here to get us started. Like to go there. Yeah. So this is the new index page. So there is an old page. Let me see if I find it. That's the old URL you probably have. And this one
You'll
is...
note there is now a link to the new one on that page. There wasn't yesterday morning.
Right. I was waiting for Brian to just tell us the good news. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Hi. Nice to see you. Yeah, it says now archived documentation. So that is the archive documentation base, goes back to 26.1. There wasn't really anything for 26.2. And there's a link. The latest Siebel CRM documentation is here. So follow that link. And that is the past year worth of the downloads. And I see for 26, it's slightly changed. So there is an online version still, and also this is where it says online version. This is the revised guides, and then there's an all guides. So if you're interested what's new, go to this first link, guides updated in this release. And these are all the guides that have received an update. And you can see from the list of guides that have been updated, it's quite a substantial release, 26.3. So,
if I may, Alex,
yeah, sure.
this page right here exists because of this meeting. Many of you have mentioned over the years
Oh, wow.
that it's hard to know which guides I need to go look at. Well,
Mhm.
Now you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So it's the Siebel Friday.
Your feedback, all of you, it does go somewhere.
Okay, it should say Siebel Friday guides. Just kidding. Okay, thank you very much. So that is good to hear. And so, yeah, update your bookmarks, as they say. There's a new bookshelf homepage and leads to all these guides. So, of course, the old links to the archive, I have like a 10,000 links in our training material, and I was getting a little bit worried, but of course, the archived page is still working well. And if you go through these guides that have been updated, or if you watch our little summary video that we put out on YouTube, you see that one of the major changes in 26.3 is a new REST API, a new resource called WS Operation, and it's the Workspace Operations REST API uh, based on an probably business service that existed before, but now has official fame and name in the REST API guide, and it has an official REST API. It's just a business service, but it has its own REST API, so that makes it quite special, and it supports the lifecycle methods of what you would do with a workspace, like creating, checkpointing, reverting, submitting for delivery, undo submitting for delivery, delivering, rebasing, and so forth. So it's a great addition, of course, to the CI/CD spectrum of Siebel. You can automate a lot of things now with, yeah, just a little REST call or a business service call. It's business service after all. Staying in the developer area, one more wizard has made it into Web Tools. This one is the famous applet method menu wizard, where you can actually define the things that appear in an applet menu, or the methods rather. And Siebel Cloud Manager got an important update. For those folks among you who are either evaluating or already running Siebel with Siebel Cloud Manager on Kubernetes, the ingress controller, did a little bit of reading on that. Ingress Nginx retirement doesn't mean that Nginx is retired. It's the ingress Nginx controller that got retired by the Kubernetes, what is that, board or so. And so that has been replaced by traffic. Well, do you pronounce it like that? It's traffic. But that's all.
Traffic. I've always heard it pronounced traffic.
Traffic. Okay, let's say traffic. Okay. um, and there's another related thing. So it's not 23.6. Well, it influences 23.6, but there's a thing that will happen later this year. And that thing is that the dual purpose SSL certificates that use both server auth and client auth will be deprecated by the official certificate authorities and also by browser vendors such as Google, who will follow suit. And as for Siebel, of course, we have a lot of certificates in our key stores and trust stores. And is that a showstopper? Is that dangerous? The answer is no. And Brian has written a great blog post on this on the Siebel CRM blog. So let me just go there quickly. And yeah, that's, I would say, mandatory reading, or you have found it already, to educate us on the implications of this deprecation.
Quick addendum to that,
Yeah,
Alex.
please, Brian.
I am currently playing with well, I'm putting together a like technical brief on the details of what you do if you are pre 26.3, because if you're pre 26.3, you're not going to have the code that in Siebel that knows about the additional certificate. But it is possible to set various settings in the various server config files and gateway properties files and so on that will allow you to, even if you're on an older version, be able to continue to be able to start using client auth only and server auth only certificates. So I should have that out within the next, well, let's say by the end of the next week, roughly.
Okay.
And I'll post that somewhere as a Moss article or whatever, somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it'll be available because I mean, if it's 26.3, you just, when you install it, you just answer the questions, where is my client store? Where's my server store?
Mhm.
Etc. And it works. But if you're not, then you need to manually go in and edit those files. So I'll provide instructions on that soon.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian, for
Yeah.
supporting the
Oh, and
customers there.
sorry, one more thing on that. No one needs to panic on this. It's only becomes a problem when your current certificate expires. So, if you've got a new certificate that's good till the end of this year, you're not going to care about this till the end of this year. It's just any new certificate after May 1st that you need, that's where it will become an issue.
Mhm.
Just FYI, I don't want everyone to think that on May 1st, as that article mentions that date, I think, that everything's going to break. That's
No,
not it. That's not the case.
it will not break the internet. No,
No.
and also not Siebel. Yeah. Okay, you mentioned, Brian, that when you install Siebel 26.3, then there is this big page in the installer where you actually, it's quite impressive, where you actually have, compared to the previous page in 26.2 and earlier, now you have 3 key stores. Basically, you have a server key store, a client key store, and a trust store, and each of them have separate passwords. This is for installation, of course, but how about when you update to 26.3? It just keeps the existing key stores, right? Doesn't change a thing.
Right. So you'd have to manually do it. The instructions for that should be in Bookshelf. I don't know, Alex, if you've tried
Okay.
it yet or anyone has.
No,
Um,
I just have to,
uh,
have to get my head around this.
if you find a problem, please let me know.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Yeah. Also, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, conscious of time. The Coherence Enterprise Cache gets an interesting update. There is a slight change in the management of the profiles, and also now the enterprise, the cache client profile is now deployable. It wasn't before, and it also manages the SSH tunnel automatically between the Siebel server components and the Coherence cache nodes. So if you're using Coherence Enterprise Cache, make sure to check the updated bookshelf guide and also our updated training on Coherence Enterprise Cache. Yes, we have that. CTMS gets an update as well. And UCM gets an update with the ability to support multiple middleware and standalone connections at once, the so-called hybrid publish. And yeah, not stopping there. There's just so much. There's also a change in how the utilities inside Siebel or in a migration, for example, use a famous DDL import, handle the locking of tables, or actually not locking tables anymore when they apply schema changes. That's called live or online mode. I get that it's supported for Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle. So that's like the absolute majority of Siebel customers. And that is documented in the upgrade guide, which also now documents the long data type migration utility, which is to be run once on the development environment at the customer choice to convert the long in Oracle or text column types to a CLOB, character large object, or the equivalent in SQL Server, the varchar max. So these changes. Yeah. Okay, Brian.
These read the documentation and
Yes.
watch the TOI for that before doing it.
Okay, great.
Okay? Because if you just go run it, it's going to update your schema repository objects, which means next time you do migration, it's going to do it in production.
Yes.
And so you're going to want to wait to run this thing until all of your downstream environments are also on 26.3 plus, so that they have the other feature that allows for online schema modifications.
Yes. Okay. Good. You heard the man. Yeah.
Read it carefully. Watch the TOI.
Yeah. Read the documentation. Yeah. Our TFM. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. And yeah, there's also some related news around Siebel. So that's of course not just for Siebel 26.3. Oracle has announced the availability of Oracle Guided Learning, a digital adoption platform that is living on OCI, and that can now be integrated with any Siebel environment that is on OpenUI, I guess. And that is also, of course, on-prem Siebel and Siebel on cloud. It doesn't matter where your Siebel is. And Richard and I have been tinkering with that. And it's very promising. So you can create any kind of inline guidance for users, from simple beacons that just flash at the user, or entire tours, or what's it called? Sorry.
The
The
process guides or
process guide. Yeah,
beacons
thank you.
or
The process guide.
pop-ups, and also
Right.
generates PDF exportable content. So you have like user guides. If anyone's been following the history of Siebel and learning guides through, what was that product called that we were talking about the other day, Alex? The original one was called SimBuilder.
Siebel SimBuilder, yeah.
Siebel SimBuilder. Then we had Oracle documentation generator thing. What was that called?
Some other thing, yeah.
Some other thing, and this is now the new thing. But we have to say it's pretty cool. We've been playing around with it. Very good. I like the ability to generate content for printing as well, because people still want printed stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So cool new thing to try, and of course enhance the user experience. I've put the link in the chat to this blog page where it has been announced. And so you can read more about that. And one final page that you want to visit, or a PDF to download, is the lifetime support document for Applications Unlimited. So this is the season, March is the season where Oracle extends, or has extended for the last years and is extending this year, the Premier support end date for one more year, until end of 2037. It's even hard to pronounce 2037. Can't think of that year. So that's 11 years from now. And that is, of course, a tradition already, and hopefully it will be an ongoing tradition. So when it's 2037, it will be 2048 when Siebel Premier support ends. Let's hope for that. Okay, so yeah, that's all the good news around Siebel and, of course, the new version 26.3. Thank you very much, Brian, for jumping in and making us aware of all these changes and caveats. Okay, so I hand over now to Darshan.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes.
All right, great.
All right, yeah.
Oh, nice picture. Is that AI generated?
Everything is AI generated these days, right?
Of course, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let me take you there. So obviously, in the last 20 minutes, Alex, you took us through a lot of like technical details. I guess we were geeking out a little bit and looking at all that information. I'm going to try and step back a little bit. I'm going to go a step higher, and the slides here, I'm just going to focus on things that we all know about. I mean, I'm just looking at through the names of people on this call. I think all of us have been around long enough that we know what's everything that's happening here. But I'm going to jump right into the demo after that, right? But what I want to show you is agentic AI for Siebel, which is a platform that we've been working on for quite some time now, and I'd love to show off what it can do today. So starting off, right, all of us have seen this in some shape or form. Most Siebel customers, except for outliers out there, fall in three distinct categories. A good number of customers are stability and security focused, so they are staying up to date with Siebel monthly releases. They're picking up all the security fixes, security updates, all the implied features that are coming along with it, staying current, and obviously doing this through DevOps implemented, and keeping their cost of these upgrades really, really low. And then we have another group of customers who are doing upgrades once in a couple of years or something, still maybe not fully invested in DevOps, and probably incurring a little bit of a higher cost in terms of picking up releases. And then we still have our legacy holdouts that are sitting on pre-IP17, really old versions, just keeping the lights on and keeping Siebel on as long as they can. So this is really the landscape of Siebel customers today. But pretty much everybody at some point in time has attempted to find a replacement. That's just a fact. They've a lot of customers have done partial cloud adoptions where still core processes remain within Siebel, but some of the simpler processes that are cloud ready are moved over to other applications. A lot of them have tried migrations and failed and come back to Siebel. And there are still customers out there that have active RFPs out there to look for replacements and try and find more modern applications that are looking that on paper appear like they can replace Siebel, but time will tell. But I think the biggest trend that we're seeing today with AI coming into our daily lives is a lot of people are thinking about writing their own replacements. So using AI coding agents to quickly generate code, tell it what to do, and build up custom applications. This is sort of the what we're seeing out there, pretty much with every customer that we have worked with or working with as well. Now, there's a risk to this, right? Customers can't live without Siebel because of its deep functional capabilities and complexity that is baked in and been running for years and years and years, 35 years now or more. But the risk of building something from scratch and building something on their own, while it might seem very simple and easy to do from a short-term point of view, especially with AI coding help in place, I think the real cost of that will be in the long run. Once all of that AI generated code is sitting there running, somebody needs to maintain it, somebody needs to upkeep it, and that is going to be something that you're not going to see that cost today. You're going to see that down the road, and that's the real big risk that's out there. And really going back about 30 years when Siebel was the premier packaged product at that point, replacing custom built solutions, we've gone back to that phase where everybody's trying to rebuild everything on their own because it's easier to build stuff now. That's a huge risk in our mind. So what are we doing from the Dimension side, right? So we've been obviously we are still hardcore Siebel guys. We want to leverage and we understand the core strength of Siebel, and everything that is there in Siebel today, whether it is framework capabilities or functional capabilities, are still relevant, still enterprise grade, still something that is a strength for Siebel as a product. But what we are trying to do is take that, leverage that, and make the experience layer more modern. OpenUI is still great. It's still, it changed everything almost 17 years ago. 2009 was the first time I presented OpenUI at OpenWorld. So it's 17 years old, just as old as my daughter, who turned 17 last week. So it is still relevant, but times have changed, right? The one-size-fits-all application While it is still browser based, it's great. It changed everything for Siebel. It helped Siebel customers a lot. But the expectations of what UI should be is very different now, especially with AI coming in. It's not just UI. You're looking at other channels of communication as well. So we're trying to look at that experience layer and provide different options for customers on top of existing Siebel. The whole goal is not replacing Siebel, but transforming or leveraging Siebel for more of the things that are relevant today. And everything that we do today, there has to be an AI component. Until a few years ago, we were talking about cloud. Now we're talking about AI every single step of the way. So integrating, making that seamless is very important, but also AI is changing so fast. We can't go a weekend without keeping abreast with what's happening out there in the world. And that's how fast things are changing. So whatever we are doing, whatever customers are doing, needs to be future ready. It needs to be adaptable. It needs to be flexible. It needs to be open for changes, because things are bound to change. What we say is AI seamless today will not be seamless in a month. And that level of flexibility is really important. And that's really what we are focused on. The key message is Siebel is still what it is. Siebel will still be our core platform. What we are talking about and what I'm going to show you next is really a layer on top of Siebel that leverages Siebel, but uses AI on top of it, but also brings a little bit more flexibility, because we're now talking about, everybody knows this, right? Every Siebel implementation is one of 80 or 100 systems that work in that enterprise. So making sure that the experience layer is not just focused on Siebel, but can integrate everything that is required, or perhaps all 80 applications that are required to give that seamless experience, that is key. So with that, I'm going to jump to a series of demos. So I'm going to go through a couple of things, but I'm going to pause to explain what each one of those things mean, because they may not be very apparent when I'm showing the UI to you all. So let me shift my screen share. Still trying to figure Zoom out. All right. Can everybody see my browser window here?
Yes, all right. Thanks.
Awesome. Great. All right. What you're looking at here is an application that we have built. It's a typical lead to quote flow, a standard traditional flow that Siebel supports out of the box. But what this is showing you is a completely different look and feel, not just traditional Siebel out of the box UI, not Redwood UI. It is a custom design that one of our designers came up with, and we built it. And how this is built is our designer came up with this design for these various pages and the flows in Figma. I'm sure all of you have heard of Figma. That is what UI designers use to generate their UI designs, and that is then handed over to developers, and developers code it in to make it look like it. Our platform directly consumes Figma designs and renders that within the application with zero code required. That's really where our low-code platform comes in, where this exact design of this application was built in Figma. And what our platform does is merges that Figma design with live data and creates a really usable application out of it. That's one aspect. The second aspect is every piece of data that you're seeing here, while it is transactional data coming from Siebel, it is actually Siebel data enriched with AI. So as you can see here, what you're seeing here on the top is a summary summary for me that is tailored to me, because my data with my visibility was fed into an AI agent, which analyzed all my information and is actually giving me a very specific summary of what I should be focusing on for today. This is my daily briefing. So it's actually telling you what is my most highest priority opportunity. It's saying how many meetings do I have scheduled today, what I need to do, and what are the consequences if I don't make those meetings. So it's actually giving me, and every user that logs in is going to get their own personalized view, because their data, their visibility is different. That's step number one. Step number two is you're seeing 3 top priority tasks that I need to perform today. I may have 10 different things to do, but I need to prioritize my work, so I'm doing this in the most efficient way. So that data is being analyzed, and the AI agent is actually surfacing 3 very specific things to do. One of my appointments that I need to go focus on, an overdue opportunity that I need to take action on, and an opportunity that is ready for quote. Maybe I prepared for that quote yesterday, and some churning of that opportunity happened overnight, and today is ready for quote. It's giving me that information right away, and then anything else perhaps that I worked on yesterday or day before that was waiting for an approval or waiting for closure or something like that is listed here to say these are my most recent opportunity updates that I need to be aware of. So you have guidance here on top generated by AI, you have action here generated by AI, and you have information generated by AI, all tailored to me specifically. So what we're looking at here is tailored, like a custom user interface with data coming from Siebel, enriched by AI. And as you can see here, it's not static either. Every top action potentially has a different purpose that I need to perform, right? A different task that I need to perform. For example, if I have an appointment, I want to review the account 360 before I can go to that appointment. So the action that is recommended here is to actually go and look at my account 360. And when I go look at my account 360, here again, you see a lot of interspersed data. So you're seeing a summary of my account, and it's AI generated churning of information to actually look at all properties, all aspects of my account, and giving me a quick summary that I can read through. It's giving me transactional data from Siebel because this is data that's already available in Siebel, no need to process it. But then we have aggregations that are happening here that may be key indicators that I need to understand before I go into this meeting. So this is generated by AI as well. So again, Siebel data fed into AI, enriched and displayed as key indicators. Key contacts are Siebel data, so transactional information. Engagements are activities, transactional information. Opportunities are transactional information. But then we have a recommendation here for next best action. This is again looking at all of these attributes, giving you a quick next best action recommendation for what you need to do. And now if I go back to the Agentic Hub, the next thing that I can do here is that I should probably work on here is look at this opportunity that's overdue. So it's telling me that this close date has passed, so do something about it. So I can go into my opportunity 360, and again, a combination of Siebel transactional data and next best actions coming through AI, your aggregations coming through AI, and analysis coming through AI, a combination of information that is tailored to that specific account or that specific opportunity. The third thing we have here is an opportunity that's ready for quote. So if I actually go generate quote, it's telling me that it can be ready for a quote generation. And if I go look at this, just so I want to show you that this is not smoke and mirrors, right? So this is the opportunity that we are looking at. So let me just grab that real quick, and I'll go into Siebel. This is Siebel 26.2, I believe. So let me go into opportunities, query for that opportunity. And you see that this opportunity exists. And if you go into quotes, there is no quote available, but it's probably ready for a quote yet, quote right now. So I can go back into my application. My generate quote button is right there because that's the most relevant thing for me to do. I can go ahead and hit generate quote, which will generate a quote for me behind the scenes. This is using Siebel's out-of-the-box auto quote functionality. So again, this is not just data, but also using functionality, using all the business services and workflows that are out there to automate your process. And now if I go back into Siebel and re-query this, you'll see that the quote is generated, right? So it is really leveraging every aspect of Siebel and Siebel REST APIs to generate this application. Let me show you a few more things before I go into the details a little bit. So we have, our Agentic Hub, like I said, which is completely AI generated. And then we have each of our, individual tabs that we're used to. But again, we have agent generated information here for everything. My lead is being summarized at the high level, but each lead is then being processed for context and risks and analysis that is done by the AI agent behind the scenes. I can go and look at each one of these leads one by one, and you can see some of these things are taking a little bit of time because it's actually doing an AI analysis on the fly. So it now looked at it and say there's no revenue info. It was marked as rejected, so really nothing can be done here, and it's giving you all the transactional information that's out there. Similarly, if I go into pipeline, I'm looking at my opportunities. This information is being churned up by, I guess, aggregated up by our AI agent. All of this is being aggregated. It's telling you what opportunity to focus on across all the various opportunities that I have assigned to me. And even things like, oh, go ahead. Was there a question?
No, there's
All right, maybe not.
doesn't seem to be.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. And then even things like generating a chart. So I can use AI to aggregate the opportunity information to show that as legends, do total calculations, but also render them as funnel charts or pie charts or whatever chart that you may fancy. So here, let me show a couple more screens and then I'll go into a little bit more details. This is quotes, again, aggregation happening on the top, raw data coming from Siebel. Everything is categorized into due this week, due next week. I can go in, look at a particular quote. It's showing me all my line items. I can add products from the catalog here, giving me agent insight on the right-hand side, a lot of context on the right-hand side. So a lot of this information is interspersed to enrich this application to not make it very list and formy, but giving you information that is absolutely required to make you more productive as a sales rep. Let me show accounts a little bit here, and you can see similar aggregation or summarization happening here. High value accounts being pulled up. So this is a high value account is basically an account query, but the AI agent is surfacing or filtering these records up to say what are truly high value, because it may not be a simple database relational query that you can execute to determine that, and you may have complex rules to determine that. And this is doing that step right here, along with showing you just the active account, which is a flat Siebel query. Now I can go in. I think we did this already. We looked at an account 360, and you can see that every one of those things, the same things that I talked about earlier, appear here as well. Now let me go into a little bit of more details to show you that this is really coming from multiple data sources, right? I have a little demo switch here. I'm going to hit that switch. And when I hit that switch, I don't know if you noticed this, you're seeing little yellow and red bars and a little bit of a highlight showing up here. Can everybody see that? I'm going to toggle that once to make that a little bit more apparent. Yeah, is that visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we have this little demo switch to actually show that what we're talking about is not just smoke and mirrors, that is real. Anything that you see with the yellow tag here on the left-hand side is coming from an AI agent. So data from Siebel enriched by an AI agent and displayed up in the application. Anything that has a red tag here on the left-hand side or red marking on the left-hand side is coming from Siebel directly, transactional data. So we have this application that is actually, what it has done is built a composite application, which is getting data from multiple data sources and seamlessly displaying this in a user interface. Now, we have another application that we've built where we've pulled in information from Siebel, from an AI agent, from a configurator, from a billing system, and a proposal system. So you could literally have n number of systems that you can bring in, because what our platform requires is REST APIs. If you have a REST API, or if you can support a REST API, we can pull that in and build those composite applications to give you a seamless one page or seamless single pane of glass of data, regardless of what the data source is, right? So you can see here that this is a page that has interspersed data. We have data coming from the AI agent here. Again, why are these tabs coming from AI agent? Because it can be personalized. For me to do my job, I need these tabs. For you to do your job, maybe you need a different set of tabs. That is determined by an AI agent. So that's why this information is also dynamically coming from an AI agent. We have the summarization AI agent, this account header information coming from Siebel directly, all the key indicators coming from AI agent, these three informations coming directly from Siebel. Right? And if I go to the Agentic Hub page, you'll notice that everything is yellow, which means everything is coming from an AI agent, which means that it's enriched data from Siebel. Now, I'm going to switch gears a little bit because this is continuity to what I'm showing here, right? I showed you what is this application. This is a UI designed in Figma, brought into our platform with zero code, being able to render it with data coming from multiple disparate systems, with AI enriched data coming in to make this a very personalized, tailored application. Now, to show you that this is not a one-off use case or a hard-coded implementation case, I'm going to switch to another application that we've built on the same platform. Notice the URL, it says Weave. This says Sales IQ. I'm going to switch to another application which says Weave, where it says DevOps IQ. Now, what is this? Completely different look and feel. Still the UI designed in Figma. But what this is showing is our DevOps data. So, for the past decade that we've been doing this, we've implemented a lot of DevOps capabilities along the way. So all of our tooling that we have developed with DevOps is generating a lot of data, because every time a pipeline runs, every time a runner captures something and executes a workflow, or every time a VM comes up or goes down, we are generating a lot of information. All of that information needs to be surfaced somewhere. So what you're looking at here is the same Figma-based design, but completely different look and feel. It doesn't have the same color scheme, layout, font size, icons, whatever, that we saw in the other application. So you can literally build any look and feel that you want. As long as Figma says this is the way it's supposed to look, it's going to look that way in the real application, pixel to pixel. Right? So that's one point I want to highlight here. But also, this application here is not working off of Siebel at all. It is working off of our DevOps generated data. But it is a step beyond what I just showed you, because this is now a full stack implementation of an AI-backed AI-backed data source. What I mean by that is DevOps is running on potentially 20 different servers out there, and VMs and containers and whatnot. Now, all of that is generating data and pumping that potentially every minute, every second, every time it runs, whatever, right? Your CPU analysis could be every second. It's pumping a lot of information, and all of that information is going into a vector database. That vector database is being analyzed by our AI agent, and every piece of information that you see here is data either coming directly from a vector database, which does not need analysis, or maybe needs minimal analysis, or it is data coming from through our AI agent, still fed through the vector database, but analyzed across large data sets. So what you can see here is at the bottom, everything that says insight is analyzing large data sets and giving you a quick summary of what's happening in my overall infrastructure. Whereas this information here, which is showing me my infrastructure inventory, is showing me the top 4 utilized servers or VMs or containers in my topology. This is showing me what pipelines have recently run. And this is showing me a summary of all my active runners, pipelines, any hosts, any containers. It's giving me sort of a quick overview of what is happening. How many are running, how many maybe need attention, so on and so forth. Now I can then obviously go into different tabs to show you that, for example, this one is zooming in on just the runners. It's showing me that I have this many runners, 6 runners active right now, and it just analyzed all of that data and came back, because runners are constantly running, right? So we are our platform has caching built in, where we are hitting the models, the AI models, only when we need to. Obviously, we need to conserve tokens. We can't just be hitting the models willy-nilly. So we are actually hitting the models only when data is changing. That's why this one took a little bit longer. But whereas if I went back here, this one looks like some data changed again. So it's going to the model again, right? But if I come back to runners, you'll see that that information came back, because from the time that I switched back and forth, no data has changed. So it actually just returned back cached data so that I never took a model cost or a token cost while I was doing this. Now, this is giving me a summary of all my runners. I can go look at all my pipelines. Maybe I just have 2 active pipelines right now, or maybe 2 success pipelines right now, giving me a success rate of, all my pipelines are running well with a 95% success rate. Total duration it ran, how many times it ran, any failures that occurred. It's giving me a complete summary because it's analyzing my, massive amounts of data sets that's being generated to give me that summary so that I know what if any actions I need to take. Now, if I go to my infrastructure tab, it's giving me my full topology. Now, you see that it came back really quickly because it has only analyzed it and my infrastructure hasn't changed in some time. So it doesn't need to go back to the model. Now, you can see here that I'm looking at my entire set of servers, VMs, containers that are running and where they are running. And if I drill down on one of them, it actually tells me exactly, my IP addresses, and if this is a Docker container, how to stop it. Any insight into it, any specific information that you want in here, all of this coming through a full stack AI implementation. Now, there's one other piece of difference that I want to highlight here. And that is what you saw in our Sales IQ application is Siebel data enriched by AI. And here we are using OpenAI models. We are using GPT-5 to enrich Siebel data with using the GPT-5 model. What you're seeing here in DevOps IQ is we are using an on-premise Olama model that is analyzing and enriching this data. The reason I want to highlight this is because the way we've built this is we're not locking model, one infrastructure, one agent, everything has to be us. No. The way this is done, again, going back to our future proofing, flexibility, adaptation, theme that I talked about earlier, we are providing the ability, a platform where you can bring any UI design, any backend that supports REST, any AI model that you may already have or you have approval for, or you may be choosing to do on premise. And you can bring your own agents, because as long as your agents, and today's agents, all of them run off of REST because your MCP servers are exposing that accordingly. So you can bring your own agents and plug it into this framework, which can run side by side with agents that we have out of the box, potentially, with transactional data that you have out of the box. That you have running for in your own enterprises, and AI agents that you may have already built, or maybe build in the future. So you can do those things, but bring them all together to give you that unique experience that you're looking for in your enterprises. Now, I have a couple more things to show you as well. So let me switch back to the Sales IQ application. So when we started this, we actually showed this at the first version of this at Oracle AI World. And since then, like I was saying, if you kind of sleep for a week, things have changed. And that is what has happened. Since AI World, which was Q4 of last year, so much has changed that even the concept of designing my UI in Figma and rendering an application using that design is, at least we see that we may be becoming outdated there as well, because even that has changed and AI has taken over a lot of those capabilities automatically. And we're seeing a shift in expectations as well, in the experience layer that I was mentioning earlier. It's no longer, even though this looks different from Siebel, you can have whatever look and feel you want. Your design flexibility is limited to how creative you can be in Figma. All of that is a given, but still, expectations are different. Some of the things that we've heard out on the field is we want not tailored UI. We want every person to have a different experience altogether. So yes, so now we have enhanced it to say, okay, even your tabs and your features and everything that you have here can be specific to each person, as I've shown here. These are the 5 tabs here. These are the 4 tabs here. different icons, different things, different flows, different navigations. Everything can be different, right? So we incorporated that. But then we started hearing, oh, but we also want to have, I mean, this is something that we've been hearing recently. We want to have a conversational UI. We don't expect customers to, I mean, our users to be using defined UI like this. We think our users will be I guess conversing with the application, whether it is through voice or through chat. And you're essentially what they're looking for is a conversational application, which is evolving as you talk to the agent, rather than giving you enriched data. So we said, hey, we have to be flexible, right? That was one of our goals. So we built this. So I just clicked this button, which now opened up a little chatbot window and says, ask me anything. And now here, it actually prompts me for all the things that I can ask for, or I can ask for anything else, which will go look at the web and give me that information, or crawl our internal document to give you that information. But I can now go in and say, give me my daily briefing. And regardless of where I am in the application, it gives me my daily briefing just like it did here. And you can see that they are the same, right? So now it is, our platform is built in such a way that it's completely event driven. So, you don't really need to be on a specific UI and be on a specific configuration to see a specific piece of information. You just need to fire the events, and we are able to surface that up. So now you can talk to this agent and ask what you want to do. I mean, rather than typing, I'm just going to select the ones that are here. I can say, give me my top 3 activities that are the top 3 items that I need to work on. So it now gave me my top 3 priorities: real travel, Maxis, Apollo Tire. Now, let me show one more thing, right? I'm looking at accounts here. I can go into a specific account and say, give me my next best action for an account. So let's say I selected next best action for account. It's saying, what account? Tell me which account you want me to give you the next best action on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say Atherton Group. And doing that, it actually brings up the exact same next best action that we saw in the 360-degree page. So it actually is telling you that the next best action for this thing is review the overdue deal with Seat Limited. And just to show that it is real, let me just drill into Atherton Group, and you'll see that it's the same next best action that was there, right? And even again, to show that this is, I guess, in some way AI as well, I don't have to be specific about the exact name. I can actually go in and just say, for example, this says Bayside Trading Company. I can just say Bayside, and it'll do the fuzzy matching to say, okay, you probably meant Bayside Trading Company because that's part of your high value account list, and actually pulls up that particular in the next best action for Bayside Trading Company. Right. So this is our vision. Obviously, this is the first version that we've implemented. There's more in the pipeline that we're working on. But it shows you what the potential is and how quickly you can build. And by the way, all of this were built in a matter of weeks. We're not even talking 6-month cycles, 1-year cycle. This was built in a matter of weeks. And one of the things that we've started to work on is a voice interface. So if I go back here and it tells me that I'm chatting, I can switch. There's an icon here for voice, and I can click that, and it'll give me this little voice window. And again, this is another request that we've seen. Again, we don't know how real this will be, how many people will actually prefer a chatbot dynamic conversational interface versus a voice interface versus a AI enriched interface, but the capability needs to be there. And this is where we're trying to push the envelope on what can be done. Again, all using Siebel data, right? That's really the underpinnings of all of this. Now I'm going to click on the mic icon, and I'm going to ask for daily briefing. Oh, it's actually reading that in my headphone. Okay. I'm going to pause that now because you guys can't hear it. I can hear it in my in my headphones. But yeah, I mean, I think you get the idea that this is giving you another way of essentially interacting with the application without changing anything in the application. You can see this, all of these things are added on, right? So because I have all of these capabilities configured in my traditional application development, I can, I guess, talk to the application with all those things that are already configured, and I can even chat with the application, with all those things configured. Now, will this go into a completely chatbot style interface, or will it be an add-on to an existing interface? Time will tell, but the capability exists, and the fact is, all of this runs on Siebel. All the performance that the snappiness that you see in the navigation, everything is still Siebel driven, and what you're seeing here today with enrichment of data is quite possible with what's out there. That's really what we want to show and what we want to highlight with our platform. So with that, I'll pause, and I think we have a minute for questions.
Okay, wow. Yeah, guys, collect your jaws from the floor and give it up for Darshan.
Yeah, amazing. I'm just,
Yeah.
totally.
Wow.
I knew you guys were out there, but this is like moonshot territory. Fantastic job.
Okay. Yes. So the feedback is there for you, Darshan, and yeah, we at the Siebel Friday we are not looking at any clocks, so we have a few more minutes to ask questions. And there is one question in the chat that I'll start reading out. So Alok asks, the Sales IQ emulates a separate object manager with application with a custom UI. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any other overhead which needs to be maintained? Is open integration also being used? So there are several questions in there.
Yeah. So yeah, several questions in there. Let me tackle them one by one. So not a custom object manager. It is just using your Siebel REST interface. You probably already have REST configured and exposed in your application, in your stack.
So
it
the
just
plain,
uses that, and that's
the plain traditional REST API, not open integration.
Right now, it is using traditional REST APIs. Open integration is something that we are working on. We've had trouble getting open integration working with all the all the setup that needs to be done. It's a bit of a we're working with Oracle on this one, so we have some help coming. But yeah, the goal is, again, open integration or standard REST APIs does not matter. Because at the end of the day, we need access to Siebel data. We need access to Siebel functions, workflows, business services, whatnot. You get that to either of those two interfaces. So, this is using Siebel REST interfaces, the standard REST interface right now, but transitioning this over into open integration is easy peasy.
But it's a standalone application that we have seen. No, it's running on its own back end and presenting a front end.
Correct.
It's not Siebel OpenUI or something.
It is, it is not Siebel. Yeah, that's a good distinction to make. It is not Siebel OpenUI. It is a stack running on top of Siebel, so it's going to run side by side with Siebel, and it is, in its simplest, explanation, it is an MCP server that we have running side by side with Siebel, interacting with Siebel, interacting with AI agents, interacting with DevOps agents, billing systems, whatever it may be, and giving us a unified interface where our UI stack, which is built in Next.js, is really binding Figma data or Figma designs to data coming from this MCP server and giving you that rendering that you're looking for. And obviously, rendering is not just rendering the page; it's also the events and drill downs and context flows and invoking business services, all of that stuff, right? So all of that is in our Next.js application that is running as a web application on top of our MCP server.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I have also one question, which struck me when I implemented my own MCP server. So a weekend project that I started. I wanted to learn how to create an MCP server. I have no idea, but Claude Code has. So I vibe coded a Siebel MCP server, and I quickly found out that when, for example, you're dealing with numbers like opportunity, revenue, or dates, you say, show me the activities of next week or something, then LLMs hallucinate and they tend to mess up the numbers and dates a lot.
Yep.
Is there anything you could give us as guidance for this? Or
100%. Yeah, we face that issue as well. Yeah. So what you do is you don't let the LLMs try and manipulate that or understand that. What you do is you before you feed that data to the LLM, you send it through a normalizer, which sets it to a specific. For example, if it's a time specific time zone, specific currency, specific decimal format, you do that pre-processing prior to sending it to the model. So the model is being instructed to say, you are given data in this exact format. Don't do anything more with it.
Yeah, of course you can talk to your model and you can tell it what to do and what not to do. Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's essentially what we're doing here as well, because for us also, I mean, with Siebel data and everything in UTC format, for example, date and time, you have to do that pre-processing. Otherwise, you're not going to get that specific. For example, if I'm talking about my today's activities, I'm not getting today's activities if I'm feeding that in UTC to a model directly.
Yes, you will get some activities.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Great demo, great presentation. Yeah, the future is tangible. The future is really here, and I guess you will get a lot of feedback after this Siebel Friday. Thank you very much, Darshan.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, as all of you, if you're seeing opportunities that are there where we can present and get some excitement built with customers as well, please let us know. Our information is available, and you can reach out to us anytime.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Darshan.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was another great Siebel Friday. Lots of things to digest, and yeah, we thank everybody for joining. And of course, this will be a replay will be available on the Siebel Hub YouTube channel. Yeah, and with that, we thank you and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
team.
Alex. Thanks,
See you
everyone.
next time. Have a good
Thank you all.
weekend. Woo.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye.